Did you hit go live?
Yeah, I did it. Yo. Good morning.
Red Rising motherfuckers, how y'all doing this morning?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Yo,
Yo,
that sounded like your average '90s dork.
right. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was that? I used to go up on, Tuesday nights, turn on Care 11, NBC. Well, Care 11 is NBC News, right? NBC station. Watch, what's that? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Born and raised in West Philadelphia. Born and raised in the playground where I spent most of my days.
Yo,
Man.
on the train line going into the city, there's this big ass mural of him sitting down, and it's right in West Philly. They got there's murals of him everywhere in West Philly.
Right.
Actually. Yeah.
Right. I'm sure they just like out in Lower Merion, they got a bunch of Kobe.
What'd you say?
I said, I'm sure just like out in Lower Merion, they got a bunch of Kobe.
Yep. I rarely go out that way because it's nothing but rich people out there.
Right.
But the few times I haven't seen any, but I'm guessing there's gotta be.
So let me ask you, when you go over to West Philly, do you see a lot of Kevin Hart?
Nope.
No.
I have yet to see anything with Kevin Hart's face on it. There's got to be some somewhere. I'm about to check now.
Right. Well, I know that there's my cousin is the superintendent, our principal, whatever they want to call it, headmaster, whatever, because it's a private charter school.
Yeah, there is
He's
one.
the head of it, and Kevin Hart. It used to be a public school, but it's the one that Kevin Hart owns, or I guess I really shouldn't call own it, but I guess he started it or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah,
2017 it happened. They had like a
my cousin is the
Kevin Hart Day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's from North Philly. Okay.
Oh yeah, whatever it was, Northwest. I thought it was West, but maybe it was North.
Yeah, North Philly. So
North Philly. Okay.
He got the four. So Philly has at least 4,000 murals because it says that Kevin Hart's mural is number 4,001.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's murals everywhere, but we have one of the most mural. Like, we're the most mural city because we used to be the most graffitied city, and they took a lot in the '90s. They took a lot of those graffiti that we had. Like, when I say our city was tagged up, everything was tagged up. So they took a lot of those murals. They took a lot of those. They cleaned a lot of them out and painted over them, but a lot of them they turned into murals so that people that were graffiti artists could move into painting things instead of graffitiing things, and it worked. But I mean, you go around Philly, you still see a lot of graffiti everywhere, which I love. It's one of the things I love about Philly. Not gonna lie.
No, Philly is. It's Philly a dirty city, but any bigger city is dirty. Exactly. Depending on where you go, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's older, that's all.
Right, and it just shows what people care about, what they don't care about.
I mean, now that's debatable.
See, but I'm going to the government, though.
Right, but people would care more about things if they had the time, money, and attention to be able to lend to the spaces that they live in.
You know what's crazy is I'm glad
people are worried about surviving. They can't really worry about what their lawn looks like.
See, I'm glad you bring that up, right? Because Valkelvian yesterday brought up a very good point, and I put it out there as a reel You know, it's about 1 minute and 40 seconds long,
Mm-hmm.
but she's talking about how is, you know, as a an impacted family, you're letting somebody else come out and talk for you.
Right.
You
Right.
letting somebody else come out and speak for you, speak for your child. You know, and that's the uh
And they're
damn
never going to have our best interests at heart if that's the case.
right. And you know, especially if somebody's getting paid to do it
Right.
instead of just doing it out of the greatness of their heart. And that's where I felt like she was directing that at towards us because we have two different routes. It's the same goal. I'm just more confrontational
Mm-hmm.
aggressive about it,
Yep.
where you're more passive aggressive, but it works so great with us because you're the calm before the storm,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
it's it's like you know, I feel like I don't even have to explain shit to you sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
you already understand it. You might not like my wording might be off, but I'm glad
But
that's
I
where you
totally
help me
get
at
you. Yep.
is with
Yep.
the wording.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because it did, you know, like even yesterday when both of y'all brought me back because I felt like guilty over some words that I said because to me it I perceived it as I was like being a kind of an asshole. I was being,
No,
you know, like or whatever. But I'm
not at
glad
all.
that you and Vale brought me back and was like, no, you were just asking questions
Mm-hmm.
because it was something that you know it's things that they like to throw out there to as a
Grand
reasoning
Rising,
to
sis.
right grand rising, you know, and that was, you know, one of the things that I wanted to point out because it's always a narrative when it comes to police brutality and transparency and clarification, you know, because they always want to give out narrative incorrect stories instead of
Mm-hmm.
just actual facts because
Right.
they don't ever want to just see the police being wrong because they want to show that they have qualified people.
They want to continue to portray if the authority is always right, then you have to respect the
Mm,
authority. When the
right.
authority is wrong and we're criticizing them too much, and too many people are criticizing, they lose that power and authority,
Talk about it. Talk
and they
about it.
cannot have that.
No, and that's what
Think
it
about the
was.
Wizard of Oz.
Right. Right.
When we
Right.
realized that he was just a man behind a smoke screen, what happened? You know, that power got taken away. You just an
Right.
ordinary person. These are just ordinary people. And like Val said yesterday, anybody can get a motherfucking job as a police officer.
Right.
What actual power and validity does it hold other than what we give it?
You know, that's the one thing. And again, you know, a very good point for the simple fact of, you know, we talk about anybody can be a police officer because there was a big uproar here in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, about an officer from Virginia who was charged, was fired for assaulting and violating a black man's civil rights. And Minneapolis hired him. But
Mm.
see, here's the thing. I don't put the blame on Minneapolis PD. I put it on our licensing board for the simple fact that he got his license in Minnesota to be a peace officer. So why wouldn't Minneapolis hire him? He's licensed. He has no criminal record. Yes, he did go to court. He was trial, but he was acquitted. Now, the city paid out. Where is you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, yeah, he wasn't, you know, convicted criminally, but civilly, they did, to me, take responsibility and liability for the actions of Tyler Timberlake. It's this, and that's how I feel with these settlements. But see, that's not the deal of these settlements. There is no, oh, we're taking liability. You know, we're taking responsibility. We're acknowledging the trauma and the brutalization that we did. No, it ain't none of that. It's we're gonna pay you. You're gonna shut the fuck up. You're gonna go sit down
Yep.
and live on with your life.
Gonna be happy about it.
That's what
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
All right.
Stacey, I
Big
couldn't.
facts, Stacy. Big facts.
Mm-hmm.
Big facts.
But I think a
Because
lot of people tend to forget about the perception and want to
Right.
harp on facts and think that their fact that they're stating is right, when really you go on Google or you go research it and they're just regurgitating something they heard from somebody else.
You know, and God, I hate just going back to this, like, but it's stuff that's going on in the movement, and I think that it's stuff that needs to be addressed. But how do you address it? Because it's like nobody wants to address it because, well,
That's why I shut up
Kelvian's
about it and I started showing people in the way
right,
that I'm giving the information out. Like she just said, perception and facts are two different things. Yes, but we still need to show both. And so that's what I do, is like give you perception, a different, you know what I mean, a different reality, a different way of thinking
right.
about things, but I also give you the facts to back it up. I think that's what's important. And
You
if
know,
people could take it at and they leave it, but a lot of people don't remember we're in the age of misinformation.
right. And I want to
Misinformation.
go because
So
Stacy just
people
made
debate your own facts. But
a point about that she knows a man personally that was a drug dealer, gang member that went to school and became an officer in Wisconsin. Now I'm gonna go Tyree Nichols.
mm-hmm.
You a couple of them dudes were reformed. I don't know if they'd ever been to prison. I know a couple of them were gang members,
Oh,
and look how that happened. So, and let's see. Here's the thing of it is because you can still be black, you can still have that past, but if you're not man enough to stand up to the wrongs being done, then you took in that silence. You took in that blue wall of silence, and this is what I say to people because it's even like being in North Minneapolis and some of the brass over there are black, but yet they allow the bullshit to go on. They don't call out their counterparts, their white counterparts, for doing wrong.
mm-hmm.
So for me, that right there, I don't, I can't agree with that for the simple fact
Sounds
of because I know me being somebody that former gang member, and I don't condone none of that shit. I call out people that are doing wrongs in our community, and the police bypass it and look the other way. Because if they were calling it out, they'd be like Buddy down in Memphis, the officer who they want to call the whistleblower. Um, they'd be dead because that's what happens. That's what happens. So I don't want anybody out here saying that cops are doing the right thing because if they were out here doing the right thing, they'd be dead or they'd be alienated like Chaz, like Lisa, like some other impacted
of course they
families,
did, Stacy.
right? That come out and say it. Oh, he was white though.
Mm-hmm.
She did damn. Well, I'm same thing though. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing because all he did was join one gang and join to another gang.
That part.
That's all he did. That's because they the biggest gang in America. A murder cook. Like Lisa said, a murder cook. Because that's what it
Yeah.
is, man. That's all we see around us, and don't nobody. We talk about clearance rate, homicide clearance rates, and how it has dropped dramatically from the 60s and 70s, and how we're under 50% homicide clearance rate. Now, when you look at police brutality and excessive force, and you look at the death certificates on police brutality cases, what does it say? Homicide. But see, we have to break down the levels of homicide because
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't really say much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's transparent. It's a homicide, but there is no clarification. There's no clarity to that. So that's why it's hard because I'll tell you right now, Potter shouldn't have been no manslaughter. Chauvin shouldn't have been second or third degree murder. But because of that qualified immunity and all these other blessings they have in the system for them, that's why they're able to do that. That's why they're able to, let's say, Cleveland, 137 shots. Or even let's go Tamir Rice, where these officers literally are justified in doing what they're doing. There's no justification for that. There's none. You know, and another point that I want to make too is, how do we know these people are in prison? I,
That part.
you know what I'm saying? Like I've literally done 2 interviews with people that were on phones in their cells. So I don't want to hear about that. Oh, they're in prison, they're doing their time. Where we can get a photo of celebrities in prison, but we can't get a picture of a cop in prison.
Right.
Like, come on now. And here's the thing of it is, I'm a person that delivered a package to Kimberly Potter at Shakopee.
Mm.
So I even want to kind of believe it. But here's the thing. That lady came out looking a little bit too nice. Yeah, she
Mm-hmm.
looked stressed out, but she still could have went to a spa. Because here's the thing, she took a life. And maybe she does have a conscience and maybe does have some remorse. So that's what that could be. She could be scared to get out and stop some motherfuckers gonna whack her.
That part.
Probably was gonna die.
Should be.
Right. Maybe they're gonna mess up, mistake, and reach for their brass knuckles and reach for their Glock 47.
Yeah.
Their FN with their switch on it. I only meant to shoot one bullet, but like 30 came out. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm just a black man. I didn't know no better. I didn't know what to do. I just picked it up and it just went off.
Right.
Can I only get 2 years? You know what I'm saying? Like that shit tripped me out because they went up there and they believed them crocodile ass tears, man.
Right.
They went up there and believed it because she went up there and looked like a grandma. Went up there and looked like the average grandma in there baking cookies. Nah, the bitch.
So
was
your average white America
bombs.
could sympathize. Yep.
Right. So they could, and that's the whole crazy thing because they demonize us. How can you demonize a 12-year-old? How can you demonize a 19-year-old who went to work every day and took care of his child?
How can you demonize somebody stealing a Lucy?
Right. Right. How can you demonize somebody holding their cell phone in their own garage?
Mm-hmm.
How can you demonize somebody holding
13-year-old boy
at their front door?
A 13-year-old boy that you
house.
think has a gun.
Right. I will never understand that, man. And it's like there's some really things that Val Kelvian said yesterday that really made me think, man. And it was like I think that's why I took a lot of that shit and I put them shoes on because I could feel it. And I think it's because I'm inspired to do this so that there is no more pain and trauma and having to do interviews with mothers that don't have all the answers as to why their children aren't here anymore.
Right.
You know, that's what this is about. I don't,
for me, it's about the overall struggle of our people in general.
Right.
And the fact that we're not well equipped to deal with this, and we have to double down and work double time to get some kind of movement. And it's extra hard because we lack the proper education, the proper understanding as a group of people. And so I seek to help fill those gaps in to make your job that you're doing less burdensome.
You know, I think about, because I always think about, like, you know, I was having a conversation with a young man here in Red Wing yesterday, and it was a kind of weird conversation, but he was asking me about gangs, and I said, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "You know, they sit here and they demonize, you know, Tukey. If people don't know who I'm talking about, Tukey, Stanley Tukey Williams, the founder and leader of the Crips. That man won a Nobel Peace Prize, sitting on death row, sitting on death row, won a Nobel Peace Prize, right? Larry Hoover, where he at? Colorado, founder of Growth and Development, which they turned into Gangster Disciples. But see, they knew they couldn't get rid of Vice Lords. They knew they couldn't get rid of Bloods like they did with the Black Panthers because they'd already branched out too far quick. So what do? They silence them. They put them in prison cells, and they're political prisoners. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. And here's the thing: because Larry should be free, Big Meech should be free. Because I'll tell you right now, I guarantee this, that there's too many old heads, there's too many OGs out here that still live by the code, that still live by, grandmas and mothers and children are off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That we
Mm-hmm.
there is a level of respect out here in these streets, that there is a code. Yeah, we would definitely get some kind of change. But since we got these people that are greedy and money hungry, that's why we don't get it. The real leaders are locked up.
Yep.
I'm gonna say it like this, and if people don't go, here's the thing: if you didn't know
What?
about Nipsey Hussle, go back and
Mhm.
listen to his music
Yep.
before he became uh, 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 what do they call that? Popular.
Icon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Go listen to
Before
his
he
first
became an
stuff,
icon.
his mixtapes, his EPs, and listen to the words. That man was more than a rapper. This man was what, like, I consider, what I would want to be considered myself, is telling spoken word of stories that are happening in our neighborhoods, that are happening in our communities, and letting people know it. That's what Tupac did. Brenda
Yep.
got a baby.
Yep.
Keep your head up.
Dear
Dear
mama.
mama. California love.
And I was gonna say, even once he got with Death Row,
Even
once
you're right.
Machiavelli, like think about it, he
Right.
still was educating us. Even when people wanted to call him a gangster, he was still soft and still educating us. Period. And I want to remind people that gangs, what people see as gangs, just because they're black and brown people, don't make them any less than. They're still businessmen. They're still
Right.
organized. They still do a lot for communities. They still give people a way of understanding, a way of a community, a sense of belonging. Do they do bad things? Yes, but y'all ain't saying that same stuff about quote unquote organized crime and these Italians running around still doing stuff, still
Mm-hmm.
running New York, still running Philly. You don't say nothing about the corporations and organizations that are stealing from us left and right, but you want to get mad at the youngin on the street that's selling bags of 20s
They don't want to get mad at Big Pharma.
or stealing cars, right? But these motherfuckers are stealing your lives and your brothers and sisters and family members' lives
Right.
way more so than these gangbangers on the street.
See, and that's what I don't even understand. It is, how do we? But see, but that's the thing of it, is because we always
Because they
want to go
lock
to the
these
lowest man on the totem pole.
because these gangbangers are money. When they get locked up and put behind bars, they're revenue for these white people in the boonies to have a life and feed their kids because they go as a
No,
security guard to the prison and
I'm gonna
work
be
there.
honest. You know what it is? I'm gonna be honest. You know why they're always better going with the little man on the totem pole, the low people? It's because we're like cockroaches, and I'm gonna explain that, right? Because no matter how much you do to get rid of them, what happens?
We always here. We come right back.
Come right back. Right. So no matter how many you go in there, you go into Chicago right now and you take everybody off the streets that's dealing drugs, right? I give it one day, the same amount of people are back out there because we're replaceable. It's just like with Taco Bell, McDonald's. That's why this shit is able to keep going, because it's easy to replace a low functioning worker.
Right.
I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it 100 because at the end of
Well,
the
think
day,
about it. I know you don't know much about it, but Brexit. You've heard of Brexit, right?
yep,
Okay, so backstory behind that. Like everyone knows about the EU. It's basically the equivalent of the US in a lot of sense. They all those different countries formed one coalition and they're able to exchange money between one another across borders freely. It's like going from Jersey to Minnesota. They're able to go through all the states or all the countries with no problem. The UK decided or wanted to leave, but the UK is made up of four different countries itself, right?
right,
And remember, England is the one that really runs everything in the UK, the country of England, right? The country of England, the royalty that runs it, meaning like the Queen of England, she just passed away supposedly, and we got now King Charles and
yep,
Queen Camilla, right? They're of German ancestry. That whole line that runs England is of German ancestry. The English rule the country and they ultimately steer the decisions politically. Okay. Kind of like how we've got a domination from both parties here in a sense. The corporations run our country. That's our royalty. Think about it that way, right?
Right.
Now you've got all these influx of immigrants coming in, black and brown people fleeing from other countries and persecution and whatnot coming into the country, but they're filling in those low wage jobs that all these white people that fill these middle class and upper class white people's lifestyles. It gives them the lifestyles that they have. But
Right.
they have this racist point of view, like we don't want all these people in our country. We need to crack down on immigration. So that's why you're hearing all this immigration stuff over there and all this stuff of migrants going across the sea, fleeing from Africa and the Middle East. And it's heavily increased their people of color percentages. So a lot of these white people were up in arms about it. They sought to leave the EU to put that restriction back up, so it made it harder for these people to come into the country, right? But not everyone in the country voted for leaving the EU. Like only the English did mostly. Like the people in
Right.
Ireland who really don't fuck with England like that. People in Wales, like they didn't want to be left. They didn't want to be left out of the EU. They wanted to be a part of it, but their vote didn't count, basically. You know, so you got parts of the country like upset about it, and now the immigration has gone down. A lot of people have fled because of all this persecution. Then COVID made it worse, and poor people really took the brunt of that. Like poor people here ain't got shit compared to the poor people going on in the UK right now. Like they're really struggling. So a lot of people are leaving the country, and now a lot of jobs are not getting filled, and now these white people are feeling the brunt of the decision they made to leave the EU. It's like Kentucky leaving the US. Kentucky is one of the poorest states in the country that ain't got no resources, no major city. You'd be stupid to leave the US and then complain about it once you leave. That's basically what happened.
Right.
And I
No,
see the same thing in the US when it comes to low wage jobs, in a sense of like, y'all want to sit here and complain that people aren't taking these jobs, but you're not giving them a reason to really live. They're barely
right.
living, and you expect
Right.
them to give you a cheeseburger with a smile.
Right.
Why can't you go home and make a cheeseburger on your own then?
You know, that's the one thing for me that I never understood, right? And I get it, you know, the customer ain't always right either. Um,
Oh,
but my thing,
I've had people spit at me, lunge at me through the drive-through window. I've had all
that's where
kinds
I
of
was
shit.
definitely just about to take that shit, right? Because, like, I've been a manager from convenience stores to restaurants. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've done various types of work. And it bugs the fuck out of me when these privileged ass people come in here, like come into
Mm-hmm.
a restaurant, and I'm talking about Noodles and Company primarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got these people come in and order some fucking butter, $8 butter noodles with some feta cheese or
I'm
some
done.
Parmesan cheese on top, and then when I get mad because there's too much butter, well, it went by the recipe. If you don't like it, there ain't shit I can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't shit I can do about it. Um, and it's like even when you got these, you call for cable or you call your T-Mobile, man, I
Mm-hmm.
get mad as hell because first of all, half the people can't even speak English. So it's like, why am I calling an American company and I'm getting, yeah, but that ain't gonna
When
go there.
Americans can be taking those jobs to begin with, but that's a whole nother topic.
Right, that's a whole nother topic. Right,
What I was gonna say is I see it. What you were explaining about noodles company. I see that as the same scenario as a house slave cooking a meal the wrong way and getting slapped upside the
right,
head with a frying pan.
right,
Because you know the guest that came in for the evening complained that her noodles was too buttery.
right,
Slave might get whipped.
right. Or there's too much salt.
Your ass might get terminated or get some kind of penalty. But I see it as the same thing,
No,
just a
and
different time.
I do too. And it's like even when you go to different restaurants in different states or even different cities, they're the same fucking restaurant, and you get this different quality food.
That part.
How is it when it's the same recipe and just
And
because I went
you only find that in America, by the way. You go to other
right,
countries, you get exactly what you see on the menu every time you go to that particular restaurant.
right, I wish.
You know what's even crazier? Even if it's an American chain, like they're in the UK or they're in Japan or
Right.
something, say it's McDonald's, you're still gonna get a really delicious whole meal, and their quality of their food, because those countries have restrictions at higher standards than we do. Their
Right.
food is amazing compared to our fast food here
Well, I mean,
because
I
they
even think about it. I just seen an ad on Facebook for Burger King got a new burger out. It's just 20 slices of cheese. How is that a burger?
Are you serious?
Yeah,
Hell.
bro. But it's not here in America. It's in another country. And it looks delicious, but I know
Oh
damn
well,
well
their
when you
cheese
get it, it ain't gonna look
depends on
like.
what country, but other countries' cheeses are so much better.
Well, I know. Oh, I definitely
Our
know that
cheese ain't like American cheese isn't actual like real cheese, you
because
know?
it's processed.
Right.
There's additives to it.
And it wouldn't be considered real cheese other places.
No, you know one thing. What's crazy?
Same
Right,
thing as
right,
bread.
right.
Bread too.
Thank you. Because I'll tell you
Bread
right now,
wouldn't.
just like the
Yeah.
ketchup we have here in
Yep.
America.
Yep.
You go to another country, go look up Heinz. Go look up Heinz, a regular ketchup, and then there's a special, um, all natural, it's uncured or something ketchup. Go look at them. Look at the ingredients, right? Because that uncured is without any additives, any preservatives. But then you look at the one from America, and it's all bad shit in there for us.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that tell you? Just like even with the diet pop, how does the FDA come out says it causes cancer, but yet people still drinking this shit?
Yep.
Come
Yep.
on, man, y'all gotta wake up. We literally I'm a smoker. I smoke cigarettes, and I know this shit. I smoke Newport's, one of the worst cigarettes out there, because
But
it's
you,
got
but you, but also you can go to the store and grab some stick of gum, and it's doing the same thing.
no, it ain't. I don't think it is.
Essentially,
This
yes.
shit still
Like
make you want to punch a white man in the face.
I eat Skittles, it does the same thing. You
Yeah, I don't
know,
know. I
like
don't do that shit.
it's in America. It's a matter of picking your poison either
I,
way, whatever you're consuming. Hell, you're standing in the middle of a city in America. You're
right,
picking your
breathing.
poison of getting air pollution
Right,
and getting cancer from that. It doesn't matter. It's the culture here.
big facts.
And cancer rates are unmatched in other places. Like, yeah, other places get cancer because of the same kind of chemicals and things going on in their societies, but nowhere to the levels of where it hits us and how.
Right.
It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
definitely agree. Definitely agree. That we want everything fast gratification.
Yep.
We
At the
don't ever
expense
just
of
want
other
slow
countries.
process.
Yep.
That's how I used to get mad when I first got into the movement, because I just wanted everything now, 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 now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because we've been waiting for so long. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one thing I don't understand of why. But now I get it. But it's still, I don't understand it, because we've been living in this shit for 400 years. And I sit there and I post photos just like I did yesterday of the acid incident it was only
Mhm.
literally not even that long ago. It
Yeah.
was 59 years
65.
ago.
Mhm.
Right. We still, my parents were alive. My dad was 11 years old when that happened.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, even so, there's people to this day that still know what it feels like to go to a colored only water fountain or to sit on the back of the bus, and they had
Mm.
no choice. So we have gone further, but see, the only thing that's different is it's coded differently. That's it. We have to get with the words and the times. You know, it was just before we got on here. You know, me and Jontel were having a conversation, and we're gonna leave it after this, but because this probably gonna take like 5 minutes for us to just talk about it. But it was said something about, a trans woman. I'm like, damn, why don't you just say a woman? And he's like, oh, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And for me I feel like that's part of the problem right there is, and when I look at it, is because African Americans want to be considered black. They want to get rid of the word black, just like they want to get rid of the word woman,
Right.
word of the
But
word
also
man.
context matters.
It does. And, it
And
does
so
for me, right?
sometimes pointing out a descriptor for someone indicates where your story might be going, or it might have an indicator or something important in the story. So I think like it depends on the situation of what you're explaining, and I think people tend to forget that. And I'm not talking about you.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I
It's a
wasn't.
great point to
I
bring
wasn't.
up.
Man, I'm not putting on that
Yeah,
shit because I wasn't. That
because
wasn't.
like so we were talking, and we were talking about Teslas, and I was
Right.
bringing up this trans woman, and I felt like it was pertinent to the story and explaining where I was going with it. And Chaz asked like, well, why do you guys say trans women? Because why can't you just say woman? And I couldn't agree more. Trans women are women, and this is an issue that we talk about, not us here at the Leon Block necessarily, and we do, but I mean like in general, it's being talked about a lot because you have cisgender women saying that no, you're not a woman, you're not a real woman, but a woman is a woman, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're trans or you're cis, you're a woman. And so that's how I feel about it. Whether you were born a woman physically or not is irrelevant to me. Like just because you're a lower percentage of African descent doesn't mean that I'm denoting you of any less blackness, Chaz. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it. Like just because someone else that's Nigerian doesn't mean that I'm any less black than them. We're all brothers. You know what I mean? So like I think it's a matter of like uh, Stacey was saying, perception versus facts, and both of them matter, and both of them have to be talked about and discussed. And a lot of times, for context too, to help differentiate and further explain like where someone's coming from. Because if someone just wants to grab the facts, or someone just wants to grab the perception out of what someone's saying, you're not getting the full picture. Shit. Perception is everything, and facts matter. I think we go ahead and get up out of here. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and work on this album. Y'all already know I'm Circumstantial Saint. Y'all can go find my album. Yeah, I'm going to plug circumstantialsaint.bandcamp.com. $20. I'm excited because I'm about to release this shit. So let me get back to work. Chaz, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm finna get up out of here. Y'all be blessed and have a great day.